In this video, we'll work on Discourse 1.5. Let's go to single sentence mode. Okay, the verb to arrive. Okay, the verb to arrive takes a source and a destination. And we see here, Eric arrived at the house, and Joseph arrived from Canaan. So the destination will take at in English. And for the cardinal number 2, I don't think we'll need this theta grid adjustment rule. Okay, generate text is identical. Okay, run. Okay, it takes a source and a destination. Teshi ran to Kandy. People ran from the city. Usually we would say the from phrase first. So David ran quickly to his brothers. The MTT said, so David ran to his brothers quickly. Okay, both of those are perfectly fine, and adverbs move around a lot, and their position isn't, we can't specify them real precisely. Let's see, we've already used quickly. Okay, we used quickly several times in the adverb sections, and then here in Discourse 1.5. Okay, here, okay, John walked quickly. Okay, here it's hard to say. Is quickly post-verbal or clause final? Either one is fine there. Here, the MTT is making it clause final. So if we change, I think it's set right now to post-verbal. Yeah, location and clause is post-verbal. Let's go ahead and edit it here. We'll change it from post-verbal to clause final. And that won't affect those other sentences. Okay, so now if we generate this, okay, it's still there. Okay, it's clause final. Let's go look at our phrase structure rule for clauses. Okay, so here's our pre-verbal adverbs. Here's our post-verbal adverbs. Okay, here's a generic adverb phrase. This was put in for us when we created this language project. This is sort of a default. Yeah, we already have a clause final adverb phrase in here. So this one, okay, this one, the head word isn't specified at all. This is the default that was provided for us when TBTA created this language project. So let's delete this one. And now, this adverb phrase with quickly should be positioned here, clause final, after the obliques. Okay, generated text is identical. Okay, the verb to greet. Okay, there's a beneficiary noun phrase. The people greeted a child for Jesus. So let's say for Jesus, for oblique 1. Okay, everything is identical. Okay, there's no issues in this sentence. Goliath started shouting to Israel's army while David was speaking to his brothers. While David was speaking to his brothers, Goliath started shouting to Israel's army. So here the MTT preposed the while clause. And we have our while clauses. Okay, here it says adverbial clause position is postposed. And if we see here, adverbial clause position was changed from unspecified to postposed by complex concept insertion rule, common transfer rules copied from the library, Rule 9. Okay, if we go look at Rule 9, Rule 9. Okay, these prepositions are in alphabetical order. Okay, while. So this is setting it to postposed. If we look in our Word document, okay, we have a while clause in here. Okay, right here, clauses 172. John read this book while Mary read that book. So here the MTT postposed the while adverbial clauses. And we'll find this fairly often. When the MTTs are translating isolated sentences, it's very hard for them to give a natural translation. Once we get into a text like the story, fairly often we will get different answers than we did up here when the MTTs were translating isolated sentences. So when that happens, we always choose what the answers that the translators give to us when working in a text. After we finish these isolated sentences, we have a good foundation, but many things will change typically. So let's go ahead and make our while clause preposed. Right now it's postposed. We'll make it preposed to match this. So let's save that. We'll generate this again. Okay, so now it matches. But now clauses 172 will no longer match the Word document. But that's okay. We'll take care of that in a minute. Okay, run away. Okay, run away takes a source and a destination. The thief will run away from God. Absalom ran away to Talmai. After the soldiers heard Goliath's words, they ran away from him because they were very afraid. Okay, generate text is identical. That's the last sentence. Let's go to the full verse. Okay, nothing in red. Everything is the same. So let's save it. And let's go edit or regenerate clauses 172. Okay, John read this book while Mary read that book. So right now it still matches the Word document. But if we regenerate this verse, now the grammar produces, while Mary read that book, John read this book. And it doesn't match the saved text, but that's okay. We're going to save it anyway. And now this no longer matches the Word document, but let's make a note. We can say add a comment. Okay, so now we see that this reference is underlined, meaning there's a comment, and when we rest our cursor here, there's a pop-up with our comment. So that's all we need for Discourse 1.5, and now we're ready to work on Discourse 1.6.